in this video.
Why do people want Grant Yudinsky? And a silence washed over the room. Why do people want Grant Yudinsky? I got a feeling, you were just going, why do they want him, Ken?
Yeah. What was it, rhetorical?
No, I was asking you why you think people want Grant Yudinsky.
My thought...
Because we're all asking questions, and there's so many of us who are going, like we're hemming and hawing over it. And I'm like, I think I know why people want Grant Yudinsky. So if you
were to ask a Bills fan, hey, what do you think of McDermott? You'd get a split, but you'd definitely get a lot of bad, and they would reference 9 years worth of games and playoff games that he might have botched.
Well, after that press conference yesterday, I think they want McDermott back. But yeah, go ahead.
True.
Go ahead.
You know what? You might not be wrong. But if you were to ask anybody right now, anybody who's either dealt with or been around Grant Udinski, there is not a negative other than experience.
It's not just that. That's great. And you've only heard the good things because he's on the rise. We haven't got a chance to see the bad things yet. You're 100% correct. Let me go further. Do you believe, I've made the jokes and we've played the clips and all the other stuff. We're in Browns prison. I think the Browns fan feels that they're in Browns prison. Quarterback situation, cap situation, the quarterback that you don't even want to play, roster situation, cap, the whole thing, how the way to build out of this is to trade the greatest player on defense in the franchise's history, something you don't even want to see, because what's the reason to even go to the stadium then if you trade that guy? Like, everywhere you go, there's a wall. And so it feels like you're in Browns prison, as we made the joke many times. And I think fans feel that way, and they want hope. They want somebody to dig them out of it. And you know you're not going to get any of the big names. Sean McDermott ain't walking through that door. John Harbaugh wasn't walking through that door. Mike Tomlin wasn't coming through there. Kurt Signetti, he might pick up the phone because maybe he's a nice guy. He ain't coming through that door. I know you sent the Kurt Signetti thing. If you want to go ahead and talk about it, fine. They ain't coming in here to give you a stay of execution. It ain't going to happen. So you want to feel good about somebody who gives you a little bit of hope. And the great unknown is always the great unknown. It could be anything. That's why I think people are high on Grant Yudinsky. What can I say about his track record? He was in college 6 years ago. What can I say about anything that he's done before? All I've heard is some people in Minnesota, some people in Jacksonville now, the play-by-play voice of the Jaguars, talking about how good he's been. I've knocked down as many arguments as I can about the play calling thing, where I think a lot of guys get hired for play calling and then they sit down at their desk and they have to come up with a plan for their entire organization for the year, and they look at it and go, I know what to do on 3rd and 7. I'm not necessarily sure what to do here as we get ready for the OTAs. Like, I've brought all that up. And I will admit, the reason why I think that a lot of people, because I can only go by how I feel, with Grant Yudinsky is that he's so young and he's so unknown that you turn and you get excited for something like that. And you go, he's walking into this situation, and I'm mad about what's gone on here over the last few years, but I'm not going to be mad at him, and maybe he's brilliant enough to help save it. Because you're not getting any of the guys who would be seen as home run hires, slam dunk hires, unless they pull some sort of a rabbit out of their hat, which none of us have faith that they're going to do.
And compare that to a name we haven't even heard, but a guy who's from Northeast Ohio. Imagine if you heard they were interviewing Jason Garrett tomorrow. What sounds better to some of those fans?
I think Grant Yudinsky sounds better. Like, there's guys who've been successful, but they have this stink on them because you've seen them fail. They've been successful. I mean, Jason Garrett's been to the playoffs, but you've seen him fail. And for whatever reason, it feels like that's not good enough for you. But a guy like Grant Yudinsky, who's 30 years old, and you go, man, there's something about this kid. There's something about this kid that excites me. And I'm sure there's plenty of guys driving on 480 now going, Kenny, good God, what are you talking about? I mean, good, you can't even spell his name. Guys, first off, I can. Second of all, I understand where you're coming from. But you want hope out of the names that you really don't know and really don't excite you. That's where I think we're at. And I felt we were going to go into this. I just didn't know it would turn into the 30-year-old. 216-474-0092. Why do you want him? Why would you want him? Because Nick and Jonathan are asking the question. We're asking the question. It seems like he might be the leader in the clubhouse. Why would you want him over Jim Schwartz, by the way? Morning. Why do you even want Yudinsky? We're all asking a question we can't answer. Because I'm like, yeah, I'll take Yudinsky. Okay, Ken, why? He's got a good offensive mind. Kenny's never called plays. How do you know it? I talk to a lot of people in the NFL. Oh, you do, Ken? Oh, okay. I swear to God, if we're going to be honest with each other, that's what it is. He's got a good offensive mind. Yeah, great guy. How do you know? Do you know him personally? Why are you hanging out with 30-year-olds, Ken? You're nearly 40. I don't know. I mean, really, honestly, can any of us get, unless you know Grant Yudinsky personally, can any of us give a good reason other than we know that the big names, the household names, are not coming here, and so let's go to the other way where this guy will excite us. This guy will excite us. He can be the offensive guy, and you can keep Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz can be the ultimate leader of the defense. It's either him or it's Jim, which are totally opposite ends of the spectrum. But that's where we're at, because to me, that's the only way you have a chance to somewhat satisfy the fan base or excite the fan base.
This guy,
and I think excite is probably far off. But
this guy, because he's, how old is Stefanski now? Is he 40?
43.
43?
I think he's 43.
So this guy's 13 years younger, and that is a total different generation. So when he comes in, he's going to know if Grant Udinski gets hired, he is going to kill it with content. He's going to come in and knock everybody's socks off in the press conference, because we've already seen that in the various clips we've seen. Like, this guy knows how to communicate. I think Kevin did know how to communicate. He just refused to. He didn't want, much like, honestly, Pat Shurmur. If anybody had actually talked to Pat Shurmur behind the scenes, he could actually talk. Then he gets on a press conference. He's like, I'm not going to say anything to.
It did seem that any time Kevin, I'll tell you this, because you and I talked to Kevin off air. It did seem that any time Kevin knew there was a camera on him, he kind of clammed up a little bit.
Yeah.
He was never Rodney Dangerfield, but he certainly, like during breaks in here when he came in here a couple times, he was a little bit more giving of fun, I guess. It never going to work the room, but a little bit more giving of fun. And he was a good guy. He's a good person. But I think when it comes to Grant Yudinsky, I think even the people who are looking at Grant Yudinsky, what are you doing looking at Twitter right now? Get off the Twitter, for crying out loud. For the love of God. Okay, yeah, Jimmy Namora's out of prison. Great. All right, we're moving on. Good God.
That, of course, brought to you by Scheibin Jewelers, Cleveland's premier
I heard
jewelers.
he listens to the show.
We need them all. So, yep, fine. We've had calls from prison before. See, now you've completely distracted me. I think even the people who are going, I think Yudinsky would be a disaster. Even the people who are saying that, if they hired him, if they go, you know what, we're making Grant Yudinsky the next head coach, they'd have some hope.
He's going to crush it from the moment he's hired. He is going to crush it throughout training camp, right? And there are going to be some swift moves to kind of reinforce that, yeah, I do have a say here. That's just how it goes. Andrew Berry's not going to rob him of all power completely. He's going to cut somebody. There's going to be a surprise cut, whatever. All that stuff's going to happen, and people are going to be like, boom, boom, this guy is going to hold people accountable right away. Now, all of that is easy until games start to go down, and the ball starts to fly.
Who will you feel, if you're looking for excitement, it's Yudinsky. If you're looking for comfort, I have to say it's got to be Jim Schwartz. Wouldn't you be more comfortable with Jim Schwartz?
McDermott too, but
I just don't put McDermott in the conversation. Honestly, I got to tell you, after I saw the press conference yesterday from Pagula, I go, there's no chance. No chance he's coming here. I would love to be wrong. Sean McDermott he would stabilize things. I think he's a good leader. Obviously, there's some foibles in there. I mean, Ty Dunn wrote some scathing things about him in the past.
Yeah.
There's some strong things in there, but it would certainly calm the waters down a bit. And it would at least give you some sort of positivity as well as stability. But if you're not going to be very stable, or if you're not going to be very stable with him, then you're probably more comfortable with Jim Schwartz. That would give you some stability. It would feel like you would be a little bit stable there. Jim would bring stability. He would bring comfort. He wouldn't bring excitement. I don't think you'd be excited. I think you'd go, okay, of the names, this is a name that we can trust. We've had him for the last 3 years. The defense does love him. They've done a good job. Yudinsky, there would be some people who are definitely thinking that this would be a disaster. They'd be hopeful for him. They would have hope. Like if you were to, you mentioned Jason Garrett. I think there would be some people who are against him and go, what are we doing? We're bringing in the clapper. Like we're bringing this guy in, and you would go, wait a minute. Look at his offenses over these years.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely back and forth with all these guys. But when it comes to a guy like Yudinsky, there's not much you can say other than he's 30 years old. He's an exciting young name. He's exciting all these franchises. He seems to maybe be a couple years away. Well, guess who's also a couple years away? The Cleveland Browns. So you know what?
Right.
If we're looking for something that's exciting, then fine, go ahead and bring in Yudinsky. And I know there's another name that's out there that we haven't talked about yet, and there's a very specific reason why, and you guys are texting my ass off and tweeting at me all the time, so we'll bring it up at 8 o'clock before Mary Kay joins us at 8:20.
Yeah,
I know there's another name out there that's young and offensive. We haven't mentioned him at all.
Now, I've run it by you over the last few days. I said, man, it feels to me like they have to get off to a good start. But, I said that, and then I thought, who didn't get off to a good start? Dan Campbell, right? He did not get off to a good start at all in Detroit. And yet, what matters is how the players think, not the fans. Now, I know Albert Breer, we played the audio yesterday of, but like Cleveland treats every game like life or death. And there are other markets that don't necessarily do that. And I don't know, Detroit, they love their football, but do they love their Michigan football? Do they love their Michigan State football? They like it all. I mean, I'm not denigrating their love of football. But I think here, like, man, if they get off to, they're 1-5, which is what Vegas would probably, even though the schedule's soft, but Vegas is not going to have you with a whole bunch of wins right now if this is your quarterback room and you're overhauling your wide receiver room and your offensive line room. They're just not going to pick you to win many games despite having a potentially dominant defense. So can he withstand that? That is going to be the key, because it's one thing to be an unknown. It's another thing to be an unknown who starts out 1-5.
Damn it, that is true. How many games do you think they're going to win next year? With whoever's the coach.
I said...
Look at the roster.
I said 5 with their defense winning those games, but, they're going to add to the offense. And so maybe, you asked me during training camp, maybe I actually will for once go, ooh, they got a good receiver. They got a wide receiver that can actually be maybe physical and catch the ball and get yards after the catch.
That's something.
Maybe pushes Jerry Jeudy to where he needs to be, which is not a number one.
That is sobering to think of, and people need to think of that. And I've thought of that in the past. But
maybe Shador, for all that I've said about how bad he was last year, we've had these big disagreements. Maybe he looks cool and calm all of a sudden and doesn't make the 3 backbreaking or 4 backbreaking throws or take the bad sacks that he took last year. Maybe it really is. Maybe all the Shador people are right. And this offseason is going to be so critical. And, I don't know, is Shador spending any time in Cleveland right now? I don't know. All we saw last year was him working out with high schoolers and Division III wide receivers. Like, let's get a real offseason together.
216-474-0092. Charlie in North Carolina, you're next up on the Fan. Hello.
Good morning, fellas.
Morning, Charlie.
Hey, I hear everything you guys are saying. I just don't have that hope for Udinski. I think if you don't go all in with McDermott or somebody who has a proven track record, that's all we're doing is saying.
But Charlie, what if I just tell you, like, we don't have a shot at McDermott? Like, you should certainly try, but what if he's like, thanks, but no thanks? What am I going to do?
You're going to go with Shieldhouse as the OC and Jim as the head coach.
So you wouldn't even want, because is Shieldhouse calling plays? He's the pass game coordinator.
Jim probably has a Rolodex of people that he could bring to help out.
Okay, so
that's the idea, is to get them for the next 8 seasons.
Like, Charlie, I don't hate what you're saying, not at all, and I don't even disagree with you. Like, I think you're looking for somebody is stable and you're comfortable with. That's Jim Schwartz. You believe that Yudinsky is too much of a risk.
Yeah. There's not enough there to what he did with Trevor Lawrence. To me, there's not enough to know that he's not going to be. Kevin couldn't even be successful.
Well, that's a hell of a point there, Charlie. Because I'll tell you this: when it comes to Yudinsky, and this was brought up yesterday afternoon, and I love what they're doing with this conversation. I got to tell you, I know we take a lot of swipes at each other. Charlie, thank you very much for the call. He's listening on the free Odyssey app. I know we take a lot of swipes at each other. I love what they're talking about when they're talking about Yudinsky, because it makes me have to check and balance all the things that I've been saying about him, where they call him a quote unquote glorified quarterback coach. This is a team that's obsessed with the position. And whoever you get if you make Jim the head coach, you have to get somebody who's known to be good with quarterbacks, who's going to be able to work well with the quarterback there. And that means maybe you put a play caller in there that hasn't called plays very much at all. You have to get somebody you trust there, because if it's this quarterback room, or if it's Malik Willis or whatever else you want to do with all the crazy ideas that we've had, like you gotta find a way to speak the same language to get this offense going. Because as obsessed as we are, I can't do a third year of whatever this offense has been. And it will probably still be kind of close to it, but you still want something that you can build off of. So when it comes to Udinski, when they say, well, he's a glorified quarterbacks coach, that's a positive for him in this league, because we're at such a dearth for quarterbacks here. We are starving for him, that anybody who can unlock anything of the talent of a QB, you're going to go up the list. That's probably why Udinski in NFL circles has gone up the list.
The real work that I think Andrew Berry might be doing, I know we got to go, is how are you facilitating bringing together a staff, hopefully of veterans, that can work with somebody like a 30-year-old who hasn't had that responsibility. That is going to be huge. And that's the kind of tireless work they need to be doing behind the scenes to make sure that you really can hit the ground running with a fresh perspective.